You're my world, you're every breath I take. You're my world, you're every move I make. Other eyes see the stars up in the skies, but for me they shine within your eyes.
Lenten greetings to you once again. 100 years ago, I was privileged to be able to go to California for a sabbatical. A sabbatical is usually a time to lay low and refresh and catch up with God, with self, with reading. And during the sabbatical, I signed up for 2 courses. One was a course on spiritual direction, and the other was a course on sexuality. Both courses enriched me greatly. The course on spirituality taught me that God is everywhere and in everything. There is no place that God cannot be, and there is no human situation in which God is not present. For those of us who feel tempted to dress up for God, looking for Him in appropriate sacred places, such a discovery can be tremendously relieving. Put simply, we can find God anywhere and go to God as we are without first having to check ourselves in the mirror. Although many faiths have set modes of prayer, including the Christian faith, at a personal level there is no one way to pray. For some, prayer is silence. For others, prayer is contemplation or time spent hill walking or looking at the sea. Many of us in our prayers pray for others. There will be times when our prayer comes from a place of sadness or regret at something that has happened. We can go to God happy, sad, calm, angry, anxious, indifferent, and each time God is happy to receive us. Like Jesus at the well, God is seeking our acceptance. The title of the course on sexuality was Our Whole Lives. The general idea was that we are embodied spirits. We have been given, by God no less, a body as a means to taste and see for ourselves that the Lord is good. Put another way, we have been gifted with our bodies to give and to receive love. Thus we can know God, we can experience God and others through body, mind and spirit. There was a time, however, when the body was seen as somehow getting in the way of any chance of our experiencing God. Now there is a growing understanding that the body, with its 5 senses and different passions and appetites, can also be the means through which God can commune with us. On this point, it is important to remember once again that our bodies, our senses, our passions, our appetites are God-given. From our point of view, we have to cherish and respect these gifts. Lent is an honest recognition of the fact that at times we fail to do just that and instead overindulge ourselves. Another God-given gift is our sexuality. I say it again, sexuality is God's gift to us. Our sexuality helps us to relate to God, relate to others, and be intimate with others. Among the various kinds of love found in the Bible, Pope Benedict helpfully identifies 2 types of love that are found perfectly in God and imperfectly in ourselves: Eros and Agape. Eros is that drive, that energy which pushes us outwards and towards the divine and towards others, all the time looking for union. Eros is a need in us that has to be met, but it is a need that has been planted in our hearts by God. St. Augustine puts it like this: You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you. The second type of love is agape. Agape love is when you reach out to the other, not so much to meet your own needs for communion, but rather out of care and concern for the other. In God, eros and agape are perfectly balanced. God reaches out to us, eros, for the simple reason that God loves us, agape. In us mortals, eros and agape are not perfectly balanced, and so often we reach out to others with mixed motives, not all of them good. But what is important, I feel, is remembering once again that you and I are body and soul, created as such by God. And so healthy living comes when we maintain a good balance between the two. As I come to the end of this reflection, the word diversity comes to mind. We seem to be okay, more or less, though not everywhere, with social, cultural and racial diversity. I'm not sure if the same applies when it comes to diversity of gender and sexuality. We know that some churches and societies are challenged when their long-held and traditional understandings of gender and sexuality are questioned by people who do not seem to identify with such understandings. In speaking about creation, Genesis tells us how male and female he made them. This binary understanding of what it means to be human, either male or female, is challenged more and more by people who can't or won't identify themselves with either one or the other gender, or who identify with both. What do we have to say to these people? We do know that in many places, such nonconformists, as they appeared to be, were treated badly in the past, exiled, despised, subject to ridicule, tortured, killed. Today, thankfully, such dismissal or intolerance of people is on the wane. This is good, but will the day ever come when we see such people as legitimate variations of the human family? I think it is also true to state that many societies and faiths see anything other than heterosexuality as a perversion, a distortion, a deviation from God-given sexuality. This singular view of sexuality excludes the many people who feel physically and or emotionally attracted towards people of the same or both sexes. What is to become of them? Are they forever to stay in the closet, live in secret, live in fear, risk persecution? What is their place in society and in our faith communities? We know what some societies and churches have to say. But taking our lead from Jesus, what does God have to say? And what do you have to say? I would like to finish by sharing with you a poem that I discovered when I was in America. Entitled God Slipped In, it was written by a woman called Edwina Gately, the founder of the volunteer missionary movement, a renowned poet and spiritual writer. This poem has touched me deeply and reminds me that there is no place and no one that is out of bounds to God.
God slipped into the brothel when no one was looking and sat among the ladies who were drinking coffee and smoking reefers. The jokes were loud and raucous, the language harsh and strong, until Debbie broke down and cried because a client had refused to take her and threw her out with a curse, useless even for sex. Then a hand reached out and held her. A voice murmured, "We love you." And in the silence, between the sobs, I knew that God had slipped in, sitting among the ladies in silent and painful compassion.